As the Bears get stronger, the Packers get weaker. We're going to talk about the NFC North, where everything stands at this point in June. CHGO Bears Podcast starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast. It is Monday, June 9th. As the offseason rolls on. We are actually, I think Wednesday is the official start date of the dark days of the NFL calendar.
That's right.
At least for the Bears. There's some other teams that are having their mini camp.
And I will be running to Florida as soon as that hits.
Good timing by Braggs. He's learning. He's starting to become a veteran. He's the second he can.
See, I'm the type of guy that when the water gets the rockiest, that's when I want to stick around to dock the boat. Some people, they want to, in the rough waters, they want to run to Florida. Not me. I'll be here.
Oh, man. So noble of you to leave us during training camp.
Right. I mean, that's smooth sailing. You guys can handle it.
Honestly, I'll take that trade if it means I can just go away in July.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I'll take that trade.
Deal.
It's a good deal I'm making.
It's a deal.
You should be thrilled. Plus, you don't have to deal with me. Like, everything's turning up Braggs.
I like that.
You're getting healthier by the day. You're going to Florida. You look at your smile.
Yep.
Yeah. It is ironic, though, that he's taking off the days where Tyson Bagent actually plays.
Mm-hmm.
That slander will not be allowed. Happy birthday to Bagent.
Wait, time out. That's not slander. I'm being serious. You're taking off a preseason game where the backup actually plays. That's a factual statement.
We'll just see where Bagent plays this year, Adam Hoge. You never know where 17 might pop up. Happy birthday to 17.
Is some inside information there?
No. There's no inside information on that one.
Just felt.
I'm just saying, long season. Things happen.
Okay, Tanya Harding.
Let's not pigeonhole this situation into just training camp. I believe his record is, what's his record? Yeah, 2-2. Okay, no problem.
Wow.
See, some of us have higher expectations for the Bears than 2-2. Welcome in, Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Greg Bragg.
2-2 is about the best thing we've seen in here in the last decade.
No, but that's not how he said it. He went
2-2.
That's not. That was. It's not about.
Listen, we would have killed for 2-2 last year, rather than 0-10.
They were 4-2.
Yeah,
Welcome to the season.
And we were.
It's Super Bowl.
We really were. Walking into that locker room in London, talked to the Bears after smoking Jacksonville. I thought we were.
And then the best thing possible happened, the Hail Mary.
Yeah. What's up, Blake? It's my guy. We had the greatest time ever, as I said, on my foursome, which finished last in our golf outing. Shout out to everybody who came out.
You finished last in more than one way.
We were the slowest, we were the lastest, but we had the best time. Me and Blake and Solo and Curtis, and we dominated.
It was shocking talking to him because he was like, man, I was like, how'd you put up with him? He's like, no joke, man. I love your show, but Mark is my favorite. I was like,
wow.
That's
awesome, though.
Out of here.
That's why we have these great...
They do exist.
They do exist. By the way, before we get out of here, I'm giving Steven a homework assignment. Can we please, there's got to be a photo of how Carm dressed on Friday. That needs
there
to be.
Is.
I looked good.
You look like an idiot.
That slander won't fly either. This guy comes out, he wears like flowery, whatever he wears last year. I thought that was nice in the middle. U.S. Open tee, polo shirt, orange sock, and a
we'll get to
There's a difference. Greg dresses like a ridiculous golfer, but he's still a golfer. You dress like a tennis player that didn't know he was on a golf course.
With a hat that was definitely a golf hat. It's a golf hat.
You did go Payne Stewart.
Shout out to my guy Callum, rocking it in London. Got me to Wimbledon. Wore his hat. He deserved it.
Thank you to everybody who came out to the golf outing Friday. These things continue to be awesome and great turnout. We got another one coming up in August. If you want to come up August 22nd.
August 22nd.
Cog Hill. So
which is the same day as the last preseason game. So it'll be Cog Hill in the morning, and then we come back to the studio for the third preseason game, post-game show.
Well, you and I will. Carm skips the preseason.
I'll be there for that. That's after Camp Nebagamon. It's great. Perfect timing. Glad they timed that out for me.
That'll be a fun day. That'll be a fun day. Looking forward to that. So don't miss it. Come out August 22nd. And shout out to Steven's group who technically won the outing.
Why did you say technically?
Well, because it's kind of like, like the tournaments where all of the good golfers just don't show up. And then like some guy who's been on tour for like 10 years is like, I got my first victory.
Steven is to softball.
The three of us donated our time and our love to our listeners and golfed with some foursomes. And then Steven's like, I'm going to go build an all-star team and win.
He did what Carm does with the softball teams and brought out ringers.
The only difference is that nobody here actually wants to play, so I'm forced to either choose to bring out terrible players or good players, so I've chosen to bring out good players. Steven could just bring out normal people, assuming Steven has friends.
These are all my good friends that golfed with us.
Okay, so he's amazingly
I
his
didn't
best
pull
friend.
these guys off the street like a certain softball team.
Oh.
I didn't pull these guys off the street either. I just pulled them off the softball team that I play on.
Well, it was fun nonetheless. All right, let's get to the show. We there was some Packers news this morning that I guess that wasn't terribly surprising, but a little bit because we thought that Jaire Alexander might be traded. Straight up releasing him now was a little interesting on the timing. I think Mark Murphy just came out and said that with minicamp starting, just let's cut ties. Let's not make this more of a distraction than it needs to be. And so the Packers move on from Jaire Alexander, who, when healthy, has been among the absolute top cornerbacks in the league.
Has he? He has?
When he's been healthy, yes. But he's missed 10 games the last 2 years. So that brings us kind of to the point of this conversation. Like, would you rather have Jalen Johnson or Jaire Alexander at this point? I think the answer to that would be Jalen Johnson. I find it interesting that as the Bears, I think most people would agree, have gotten stronger this offseason in a lot of different areas. Coaching, offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, a lot of different areas they've gotten stronger. The Packers have had a very Packer-esque offseason. Now, the caveat with that is they do this a lot and they still stay relevant and good for the most part. But they haven't made a ton of huge additions. It's been a couple here and there. And now they cut one of their best players in Jaire Alexander, which kind of brings us to the question, though, if we're going to compare these two rosters, where are the Packers still better than the Bears? So we thought we'd kind of go through this kind of quickly. We're not going to go forever.
I know we're up against it here, but just quick on the Alexander deal. I mean, the dude's been hurt a ton.
We're not up against
it. We just moved the clock over there.
Oh, okay, great. Well, we had a slow start. We had a fun start to the show, so I thought maybe we were pinching the segment. But if we're not pinching the segment, then I'll give my full Alexander thoughts, which is one, I think he's a fool for not taking the restructure deal the Packers were offering because I don't know what's going to be out there for him. I don't get why he wouldn't want to stay there. Two, the dude's been hurt a ton, which is why I think he's a fool for not taking it because who's going to make a big bet on the guy? But when he was healthy, he was a hell of a player, so missing him is, I think, good for the Bears. Three, I'm a little bit interested. What's his market? Because I wouldn't mind poking around the Alexander if the Bears could get him on a team-friendly, incentive-laden deal that he, for some reason, didn't want to sign in Green Bay. I think all of that is interesting when it comes to his future in the NFL and perhaps even in the NFC North.
Well, and not only would the Bears be interested, I don't think they would be, but would other teams in the NFC North,
right, exactly.
Would the Vikings or the Lions be looking at him? Would be my, if he leaves the division, then fine, but until he's off the market, I'd be, I don't know if nervous is the right word, but I'd be monitoring to see if those other teams are going to kick the tires on him.
And for the record, obviously, I don't think he's going to end up with the Bears, but
right.
And not even saying necessarily that he should, but I'd be interested in what the number ends up being.
Well, let's also be fair. This isn't just completely about money and health. He's a very good player who also can be a pain in the ass sometimes.
Correct.
That's
what we do, though. We're taking all the pain in the ass. It's the new Bears.
Well, and I think that's kind of the layer of the onion for the Packers that they're trying to fix. We talk a lot about culture with the CHGO Bears, but The Packers seemed to have a culture issue at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
There was some word coming out that they didn't all get along that well in there. I think one of their at the end of the year, their tight end was saying that they needed to be better as teammates, and I'm paraphrasing, so I'd have to go back and pull the exact quote, but it didn't seem like all was well in Packer Nation with some of the teammates there.
Right, but this is where we see the Chiefs do this all the time. Oh, nobody wants this really good player who might have a couple question marks. Let's bring him in. Because sometimes it's just about time. They bring him in, they spit him out. They bring him in, they spit him back out. Because sometimes you just need a reset, a change of scenery for a year, and all of a sudden this good player who's maybe had this issue or that issue kind of stays quiet, just goes to work, becomes a really good player again, and then that good team gets the most out of them and then says goodbye when they need to get paid again, because that happens all the time in the NFL. So now the question is, have the Bears gotten to the point where they can be one of those teams? I don't know. But also, what I do know is that Ben Johnson seems to me like the kind of guy that wouldn't blink at taking a player from the Packers, putting him back out there against the Packers, adding to the rivalry, getting the most out of them, and then saying, all right, now you're due for a lot more money. We'll see you later. We'll get a comp pick or something like that.
They drafted Luther Burden, who fell by most accounts because of character, slight, whatever you want to call it, weird stuff with his mom issues. Shamar Turner, who seems like a great guy, but he also likes punching players in the unit. So, they've drafted some dudes that perhaps in the past they would not have drafted. It seems to me the philosophy's changed. Whether that means that they would consider Alexander, I don't know, but I think it at least puts it on the table.
Well, let's go through this real quick. Where are the Packers still better than the Bears? Quarterback. I would say, as of right now on June 9th, it would be hard to make an argument that Caleb Williams is better than Jordan Love. That being said, if you're the Bears, F it. If you're me, I'm hoping my quarterback is better than Jordan Love by the end of the year. Like, that's the whole point of this whole thing. You drafted this guy number one. So that one's okay. If you want to go letter of the law, where are they better today? Okay, I'll probably quarterback. But
the gap shrunk though last year. Like 2 years ago, I mean, obviously Caleb was a rookie, but I thought Jordan.
No, Caleb was a rookie last year.
Isn't that what I said?
You said 2 years ago.
Well, I'm saying going into the year, so whatever, 2 offseason, whatever.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I just think the way Jordan Love finished the year 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So going into last year, but the gap closed. Like Jordan Love didn't have a great year last year, and Caleb as a rookie going through, everything that they went through last year. I don't think the gap's that big.
If you want to do a strict numbers evaluation of why you want to make a bet on Caleb threw for more yards than Jordan Love did last year. Caleb threw 5 less interceptions than Jordan Love did last year. Caleb threw 20 touchdown passes last year. Jordan Love, it wasn't exactly lighting it up at 25. So to your point, Hoge,
one was a rookie and one was in his fifth year?
Yeah. So that's correct.
We can keep going on the line here.
Yeah,
wide
going.
receiver, Bears, and I don't think it's any question. The Bears are stronger at wide receiver.
I mean, yes, and the Packers did make 2 additions in the draft to the wide receiver room if they hit on them.
So the Bears made an addition to the wide receiver room.
I understand.
And they drafted one in the top 9 a year ago.
Yes.
Who's going in a year 2.
Fair.
And they have DJ Moore.
Fair.
And what's his face tore his ACL when he should have been playing in
Christian
Week 18.
Watson tore his ACL. The Packers have a lot of really good number 2 or 3s, but they don't have a number 1.
No, I mean, the answer is the Bears.
Which, by the way, a lot of people would say the same thing about the Bears on that one.
You don't think DJ Moore's a 1?
Well,
or they don't think DJ Moore's a 1?
I know that JT O'Sullivan doesn't.
Do you think GJ Moore's a 1?
Yeah, I do.
Like a true 1?
Yeah. 1,300 yards 2 years ago.
I know, but we're okay, we don't need to go down that road, but I think he's a 1. I just don't think he's at the top of the 1 list.
Well, this goes back to the roster pyramid because he's not a blue player.
Yeah. Not a blue player, roster pyramid with Hoge.
And but as I wrote in that thing, I said ideally you want your number 1 wide receiver to be a blue. So that's why there's a debate about it. I don't really care because I think he's plenty good enough with what the Bears have. Running back, I would give the Packers the edge there. Josh Jacobs had a better year than DeAndre Swift. I don't think it's necessarily a runaway, but I think to be fair, that's the Packers. And then I don't know. We can go the rest of the way. I don't know that you would give the Packers an edge the rest of the way. Tight end.
Better not be.
I would give the Bears the edge now after drafting Colson Loveland. Offensive line. The Packers had really good pass protection last year. I'm going to call this even after all the additions the Bears made in the middle of their offensive line. Defensive line. I think the Bears have the edge. The Packers' D-line was very disappointing last year, and they're looking for somebody like Lucas Van Ness to step up. Linebacker, I would say it's even. Corner, the Bears definitely have the edge. I don't think there's a question. And then safety, I think it's another toss-up there. So I'll give them the quarterback and I'll give them the running backs, but I don't think it's a slam dunk anywhere else, and I think the Bears actually have more of the edge from that point on.
What about the coaching staff, Hoge?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, in terms of who is not afraid of smoke,
Yeah.
we have won that battle.
Right.
What's up, Ben?
But
We see you.
I think it's a good question. I would say it's similar to the quarterback argument. Right now, letter of the law, who's better? One guy's proven, obviously, he's been in the playoffs. How do you not say Matt LaFleur is better than Ben Johnson right now? If you're the Bears, you're hoping that by the end of the season, you're like, oh, man, Bears have something here, something really special with Ben Johnson on the level of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. That's a huge bar I'm creating right now. I understand that, which is why I'm admitting right now
Right.
the Packers probably have the edge of coaching with experience, and the guy's been there and he's done it. I think if you're looking at some of the things Greg just said earlier, too, about some of the culture questions that have come up.
Yeah, Tucker Kraft said to end the season after they got shellacked by the Eagles in the playoffs, the whole last few games we played, you could kind of feel what was brewing for us. As a team, we need to wake up.
I think there are some minor red flags, some cracks in the foundation that if you're watching closely with the Green Bay Packers last year, you wonder, could those become big problems in the foundation this year?
I'll do what I can to make sure that those
I mean,
Get on
cracks
let's just be honest here.
spreading
Let's
information.
let's live in reality, Greg.
Now we're up against the clock.
1-0 in 2025 against Green Bay. How much better have the Bears gotten in the offseason? A ton better. They already beat them last year. Bears. I'll throw red meat to Bears fans right now. Bears. Better than Packers. Packers worse in the division.
It's like Cardinals and Cubs. You know, yes, the Cardinals have always been the better organization, but one day the Cubs were a better team and they won one. So you hope that the Bears can break through, you know, in a similar fashion.
So we
Go
will,
Cubs, go.
on that topic, we will go stock up, stock down on the entire NFC North coming up next. But first, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, new customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up. Use the code CHGO365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. A lot of options right now to take advantage of. The NHL early payout offer. If your team goes up 3 goals, that's an instant payout. Basketball team goes up by 20, instant payout. We've been seeing this throughout the playoffs. Same thing in baseball. If your team goes up 5 runs, you get an instant payout. Again, breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet 5, win or lose. Sign up, use code CHGO365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, players, props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling, referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
I would have made that bet on the Thunder last night. Thank you to our friends at Bet365. And also thank you to Empire Today. When you need the home floor advantage is what you need. You want Empire Today. The flooring experts coming right out to you. Dedicated flooring professionals. You want the best floors in the business. You want to work with Empire Today. They're going to come right out to you. They're going to live and breathe flooring in your home, and they're going to do the measurements. They're going to show you how it looks in your space. They're going to pick out the right, with your colors, it's going to look amazing. Precise measurements, all the questions right there in your home. And yes, you can schedule an installation the very next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, you get a $350 discount using that promo code CHGO. You heard that right, $350 discount with CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details.
All right. Let's talk about the rest of the NFC North. We talked about the Packers. Let's run through it. Stock up, stock down, and see if we can come up with a ranking. We'll start with the Detroit Lions. And I don't know how you could say anything else but stock down.
You can't.
You cannot.
I still think they're good.
Where you at, Reetma?
I think they have they should still be in the mix to win the division.
Well, they are.
But when you lose both coordinators, and I think the context on that is important too. These are not just like Adam Gase came in on a new coaching staff, had one good year with Jay Cutler, and became the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And you know, in one, like, this was two coordinators that really seemed to build the culture, help build the culture with Dan Campbell on both sides of the ball. The offenses and the defenses took on the identity of those coordinators. Now, they're also taking on the overall identity of the head coach, and he's still there, so that's important. They promoted from within on the defensive side with Kelvin Shepard. They hired from the Broncos on the offensive side, bringing in a new OC. I don't know how there couldn't be an adjustment on both sides of the ball, at least some adversity they're going to have to overcome from losing those coaches. And on top of that, like, the biggest question, I think this is among the biggest questions in the entire NFL this year. Will Jared Goff still be this version of Jared Goff without Ben Johnson? Because there's a very clear, at least, correlation between Jared Goff taking off from solid to good starter to in the MVP conversation when he hooked up with Ben Johnson, when Ben Johnson took over that offense. That, to me, I think is going to be a big adjustment for the Detroit Lions. Maybe Jared Goff answers that. No, this is who I am now, and it's all good. But I think if you're not at least asking that question going into the 2025 season, you're not giving Ben Johnson enough credit.
They're not scoring 70 touchdowns like they did last year. I can feel confident in saying that. So, I mean, when you talk about stock up, stock down, the bar is very high for them. Now, what they could finish in the season, just because they don't score 70 touchdowns doesn't mean they can't go further in the playoffs, having an end to their season that was a lot earlier than I think Don Burr was anticipating. But,
Burr.
But now, as I keep mentioning, and it's pretty notable, with Graham Glasgow moving from guard to center, your right guard, your center, and your left guard are different players than they were last year. That's significant. And that has a direct correlation to how Jared Goff can perform. You don't have Ben Johnson, the mad scientist, there anymore. It is going to take time to figure out the chemistry and rhythm of and flow of a new play caller and how they want to find themselves. They still got a really solid run game. You don't have to overthink run game, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Now, the blocking in front of that is going to be something that they have to, adapt. But I think any offensive lineman will tell you they'd prefer to run block than drop back 50 times to pass block. So, and then I think the other big question with them is how Aiden Hutchinson comes back, and how he's recovering from that injury, and can he play at the level that he was playing before he had that injury.
That's the one part I do have faith that they're.
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, he's just really good. He'll be. Maybe it takes him a little bit to get back fully, but that's a really good player. It's going to be
Sure, but that's a big time injury, and it's hard to imagine that. I mean, maybe he can get back to where he was, but it would. If you went by normal human beings, it would be unlikely. Let's just remember who the Lions were last year. This was a 15-2 football team. All right, they dominated throughout the regular season. But the problem all year long, which is why people didn't think they were going to win the Super Bowl, was that they could not stop anyone. And in the two games they lost in the regular season, they gave up 48 points to Buffalo, and they also lost a game earlier in the year to Tampa Bay. But then the playoffs rolled around. Here comes Jaden Daniels. They gave up 45 points. No, they were beat up and whatnot. So, sure, Maybe Hutchinson's healthy, but Ali McNeil, he's got an ACL tear. Is he going to come back and be himself? Now they drafted the D tackle from Ohio State in the first round to try to fill that hole if need be. But you also lost the heart and soul of the offensive line. It's not just that they're replacing players. They lost a key piece, Pro Bowler in the middle, who's pairing with Goff, who, by the way, also the thing with Jared Goff, don't forget, he threw 3 interceptions to end the year. Goff's trajectory was on the downside on the back end of the year. So to everything that you guys are saying, there's just no way that you can't look at Detroit and think that they're going to take a step back. There's no way they're winning 15 games again.
And that's why when you talk about the amount of points they gave up, maybe Jaire Alexander is a guy that they really look at seriously.
Sure, maybe. It's also interesting to me though that with all that, with you know, if you're the Jets, and you're like, I'm sure, like if we were doing this show in New York and it was a Jets show, we'd probably be trying to talk our way up on Aaron Glenn as much as we can because he's the new head coach. But I also feel like you'd be doing some of the Matt Eberflus gymnastics to justify defensively why he's. Now, I think Aaron Glenn's has a much better head coach mentality. Let's put it that way. But defensively, not that impressive. Now, he's not going to be calling the plays in New York, so that's probably a good thing. But my point is, it's interesting that the Lions decided to promote from within on a defense that really wasn't that great.
Yep.
Like, if I'm them, If I had hired Dennis Allen in Detroit and been like, no, this guy's going to take over the defense, take that to a new level, I'd probably feel better about that than what they did. But that's just my outside perspective on it. Let's talk about another team. This is the one I have strong opinions on 3 of the 4 teams in terms of whether their stock's up or down. The Minnesota Vikings is the one I can't really figure out because I feel good vibes about the Vikings, but I also look at their offseason. No one really stands out to me they only had 5 draft picks. None of them were like blow me away. That's a great pick in my opinion. I like what they did, the areas they attacked in free agency, but we talked about this at the time. It was almost like they were getting the sloppy seconds from the Bears in terms of their trench.
Sure.
Additions, right? Like they got Will Fries. The Bears got Drew Dahlman and Joe Tooney.
Yeah.
And Jonah Jackson too. So I like the areas that they addressed. It just those moves didn't blow me away to the same level. Who's the defensive lineman they got too? They got Hargrave. Jonathan Allen.
Yep.
Where did Hargrave end up?
They got Hargrave.
Yeah, Hargrave too.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So these are 2 guys I like, obviously, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. But where they're at in their careers, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about Grady Jarrett. I just think there's some risky moves.
Yeah, but I mean, when you've got Brian Flores there and all these different pieces to play with.
That's why I'm still going to say stock up on the Vikings.
Yeah.
Because
then you have Kevin O'Connell. Yes, J.J.
Right.
McCarthy's a rookie. But you've got a really good coach that knows how to get the most out of quarterbacks.
Exactly. They didn't lose the coaches, and they could have. They could have lost Brian Flores.
What's the most important position in football? Let me ask Kevin Fishbane that too, just to show my brilliance today. Most important position
the beat writers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty certain that it's the quarterback. That does matter.
Goaltender.
I don't think it's that.
Kicker.
Just a reminder, as I'm Mr. Stat Guy apparently on the show today, Sam Darnold threw for 4,319 yards last year. He threw 35 touchdown passes. I understand that he trended down at the end of the year, too. And I understand that a lot of people are high on J.J. McCarthy. I'll make another obvious bet. I'll bet that he doesn't throw for 4,319 yards or 35 touchdowns. And I know that he's having a great OTA and things look amazing. Dude didn't have to throw the football at Michigan. They ran the ball a ton. I know that Kevin O'Connell is Guru Central, and we had a great interview with him at the Super Bowl, and I love Kevin O'Connell. I think the Vikings are going backwards.
See, I understand your thought process and why some people think that. I actually go the other way because I just think it's a perfect fit. What they're going to ask him to do in Minnesota was exactly what he did at Michigan and why he was so good and why he won so many games. Now, could they possibly win? They won 14 games last year, right? And then get to a big playoff game, and then he struggles because they're going to get behind, and they need him to throw the ball a lot, and he can't? Very possible. So it could get to the point where it would not shock me if the Vikings have another really good season, and then they just get to the point where they're in the playoffs, and it's like, oh, they need a guy at that position to get him over the hump. I don't necessarily now. Do they go backwards from 14 wins? Sure, that's very possible. And so maybe someone would sit there and argue you should be saying stock down because of that. But I'm not necessarily looking at it from a wins and losses perspective.
They won 9 games in a row before losing their last game of the season. They beat the Packers by 2. They beat Seattle by 1. They beat Arizona by 1. They won in overtime against the Bears to get to 9-2 in a game the Bears should have won.
They've done this the last 3 years in terms of close games, and their coaching has been the difference.
But the margins.
The margin is, but
that's football.
Carm.
Fair. I'm just telling you, when the margins
it's not like
slim,
he's replacing.
And I could riddle off close losses for the Bears the last 3 years, and they've had one of the worst records in football the last 3 years.
We're so close, baby. We're right there.
Right. Well, no, but it's coaching, so you're hoping and praying that that's the difference. Finally,
it was Sam effing Darnold, Carm.
I understand all that, but
it's not. He doesn't have to do much to match that.
I understand, but they unlocked the quarterback. It worked. Just because
you don't think they're going to do that with J.J. McCarthy?
I think it's
a guy they drafted.
I think it's a bold ass leap for a dude that was injured and didn't play and never threw the ball a ton in college, that he's going to immediately step in and be good enough to lead that team to anywhere close to what they were last year.
If Tyson Bagent was a Vikings quarterback.
Well, see, Bagent's also, this is year 3 for Tyson. Tyson's had 4 starts, and Tyson's working harder than anybody else is. And Tyson just had a birthday, and Caleb wished him a happy birthday on Instagram. So your point does not hold water.
Well, somebody said it in the chat that, the Bears were the only team he'd be taking the over on wins. And I think that's an interesting way of putting it. It doesn't mean the Bears will necessarily be the best team in the division. It's just those other teams set the bar really high for themselves.
Well, we can continue. Yeah. That's an interesting way to look at it. We can look at that on the other end of the break, because I think that let's do that as we continue to stock up, stock down on the NFC North. Still got to talk Bears and Packers. Kind of already touched on it a little bit, but we'll wrap all that up coming up on the other side of the break. But first,
we're running it back with True Fan Travel. CHGO is taking over the Strip for an epic weekend in Vegas, and you're invited. Join us as the Bears take on the Raiders September 25th. That's right. If you were on our trips to London or Arizona, you will not want to miss this all-inclusive trip. 3-night stay at a premium hotel in Vegas is included. A ticket to the game. Hard to get tickets on the secondary market to a game like this. True Fan Travel is going to have those tickets for you. VIP parties, tailgate before the game, unforgettable events with the CHGO crew and fellow fans, and much more. So don't gamble on missing the ultimate fan experience. Book your spot now at truefantravel.com.
And if you're wondering how to budget your money so you can come join us in Vegas, that's what I like to do with my vacations. I got a great tool for you, because finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. Helps you budget your finances. I have a little tool in mind where it's like, I'm going to send this much money to my savings every month so I can make sure I can go on trips like going to Vegas. True Fan Travel. It's more than just your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners here at CHGO. You can put in all of your accounts, credit cards, investments. It's all in one place, so you always know where your money stands without the hassle. Monarch Money is the finance tool people actually love. It was named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. So get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code CHGO. All right, stock up, stock down. We didn't really come to a consensus on the Vikings. I'm going to say up, but I'm more like the same-ish.
I'm going to say I have to pick one.
I guess.
Stock. Man. Stock. It's just going to sound so homerish, but it's stock down.
Okay. Carm says down.
It's not homerish. It's logical.
Right.
They won
but
14 games last year.
Right. It sounds homerish. Because,
I'll
like,
let you
we're
know.
saying stock down for all three teams but the Bears. We say this every offseason.
Don't worry. I will let you know when Honey Bear comes out. And this is not a Honey Bear moment. This is a fair take. You're okay on this one.
Yeah.
You're good. I mean, you're always good, Greg.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
I'm just nervous, and I'm doing the no hype thing this summer, so I kind of feel uncomfortable saying all the things we've said.
You're not really doing the no hype thing, though. You're trying.
I am trying. I'm actively trying. It's not easy.
By the way, you
don't quick crack cold turkey. You wean off it. I'm sorry.
Can we clip that? You don't quit crack cold turkey. Greg brags. June 9th, 2025.
You got to wean off it. Yeah.
I mean, that's good for the show. I'm glad that you're quitting crack and you're doing it and you're doing it in a methodical manner and not just cold turkey. I hope you're enjoying whatever is left in your crack diet before you're fully off it.
Thank you.
That's big. Oh, did you hear this?
Yeah, I'm
He's
more worried
slowly
about
quitting crack.
Yeah, I am. I'm more worried about the Vikings over under.
I like how you stay focused.
Yeah.
TWE, you're probably right that Bragg's crack is Taco Bell and he is quitting it slowly.
Yeah.
I'm starving right now. This is a moment where I actually could eat Taco Bell. All right, over under 8.5 wins
for the Bears,
for the Vikings.
That's why the stock is also down.
I mean,
that's
that
down
would
5.5 wins. I mean, it's
okay. So if the over under for the Vikings is 8.5, I'm taking the over.
Okay.
Everybody will.
That is minus 160. There's way more juice on the over, which would make sense.
Right.
Which
is why take the under. They're going to suck. Mark it down. Vegas is always right. Public is always wrong.
Yeah.
I smell 7 and 10 coming in real hot for Minnesota.
All right. Are we all in agreement stocks up on the Bears, or do you have some wild take on this, Carm?
I do not have any wild take on stock is up from a 5-win Bears team. It better be up. I will have a heart attack if it's not up. But
I'll go back to crack.
Yeah. Stock is up on the Bears. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Packers are actually 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
So Vegas viewing the Packers as stronger than the Vikings right now. I don't know that I agree with that. Because I think stock down on the Packers, stock up-ish on the Vikings.
Yeah, I'd take the under for the Packers.
The under on 9.5. You can get plus 100. That's a solid bet right now.
So, Greg, bet the under on the Packers and the Vikings. Do a parlay. Put down half of your amazing pool, the value of that, and next thing you know, you'll have like a deck addition to your pool. It's a good bet for you.
You can't bet a pool.
You can take out the equity in the pool and put that money and finance it and then make a bet.
You got a banker that'll let you take equity out on a pool?
I use the Rate app, and anything could happen when you use the Rate app. Shout out the Rate app. I had a great time with it this weekend. Thank you very much. Deepak Chopra with my yoga, my meditation, just talking to me, easing me in. It can be done, Hoge. Got to be creative. Sell the pool. Make the bet. Parlay.
Mom's coming in hot on my mom is talking about your criticism of Mark's golf outfit. I mean, Mom, I don't know if you've seen this. We're going to show it later.
Came in here. I'm so seriously, Adam. Oh yeah.
Are you the golf fashion police?
Here it is.
Yeah, I am, and here's the proof. I am the golf fashion.
I'm on Hoge's side here, Mom. Like, he looks like an idiot.
Barb, don't I look good? Look at all of a sudden I'm wearing popping colors, and this is a problem for these two. I mean, Hoge's shirt. Granted, it's a CHGO shirt, but
you can't talk anything about my shirt because it's a company shirt.
You're right. I can't, and I won't. But if I did, I'd say that shirt is very aggressive. Doesn't look good on you, though.
I mean, I think I said this on Friday in person. Like, I
don't think we're selling that shirt anymore.
Well, we sold it on Friday.
No, they were still selling, but limited supply.
Limited supplies.
It went fast, I think.
They're gone?
I don't know. Everybody was asking me, how do I buy it? I'm like, well, they were selling it at the front.
Yeah. They're super comfortable, too.
They are.
Yeah, I like that shirt.
Greg was dressed like he was a Medina member and is way better at golf than
Well,
he is.
I paid,
But he looked great.
I paid like $160 for that.
You better wear it.
that quarter zip. So
See, I paid no money.
I have to prove to Jenny that it was worth buying. So I've worn it like 3 times already.
Paid no money for the shirt, no money for the hat. Thank you, Callum. It did pay. I outpaid for those orange socks.
Robert Lee says, wow, that's one of the worst golf outfits ever.
Robert Lee's such a nice guy, too, that I might have to take consideration of that take.
Bo Chan says, looks like you got dressed in the dark.
I'll have you guys know that I've already been booked for the Cog Hill foursome. So see if you guys can run it back.
It's not even for sale.
It is. It's already. And
Is it?
You can get tickets to the Cog Hill event right now.
Are we raising prices?
ALLCHGO.com/events. Huh?
I'm raising my foursome price. I don't think I can do that. I had a great time with my guys. We had fun.
Let's see who you can con into begging for.
Blake, Curtis, and Solo / Alex, if they're coming on back, that'd be great. But hey, I think they would like to give somebody else the pleasure. I saw Blake in the chat earlier. I know we got him in supers. Blake, you're the man. But we're, as I said, now we're besties. Me and Solo, we're talking and
no, but seriously, everybody that
Yeah.
signed up for the 3 of us to play with. That was a lot of fun. It was a cool experience. And all the support, everybody that came out, everybody that comes to all our different events, it means a lot. And it makes what we do a lot of fun. So come out to the tailgates, come out to the live shows that we're going to have this season. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff here. Training camp right around the corner.
All right, back to the division. Oh, did we left anything out there? Or
No, we're done. We're going to move to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, we're going to move to Aaron. Good.
So, by the way, in a little bit.
Well, what was the Lions over under?
10.5. At least that's what it was when I last checked. Does it move from there?
Let me check here.
So I got Vikings taking the over.
Yeah, 10.5. But there's more juice on the under. I think that's about right.
That's interesting.
That one's close.
I think I would take the over on the Vikings, over on the. I don't know if I would take the over on the Bears.
And the Bears is what? 8.5?
Yeah. Over on the Vikings, which was 8.5. Under on the I think I would take the under on the Lions, honestly.
It's close.
I feel like a 10-7 season is right up their alley.
Yeah, I might take the under on the entire division.
The entire division
That's
might
not a
have
bad play.
The entire division might have 9 wins.
Well, actually, there's a good super chat on this. Charlie O'Neill sends $2. He says, stock up or stock down on the NFC North division, meaning as a whole?
See,
Stock
I would actually
down.
say stock down.
Yeah.
Because even if the only team I'm going to be like is clearly going down is the Packers, there's just no way the Lions are going to win 15 games again and the Vikings are going to win 14.
It's the easiest stock down of all time. You had 3 teams make the playoffs last year. I don't think that's happening this year.
Okay, but counterpoint to if we just ignore the wins and losses, though, is the division actually any weaker?
Yes, the division is weaker. I think it is.
I think the
Bears are the only team that you can make a real strong argument that they've gotten significantly better.
Okay.
That
I agree with you on that.
I mean, there's.
But if they win the Super Bowl, then stock up.
Well, sure, yeah, great. I mean, listen, who cares if it's at the end of the day? I mean, this is an amazing show, and we so thank the 800 plus that are watching. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button on that matter. We're here Monday through Friday, 365 or 52 weeks out of the year, I should say. And breaking news, of course, we break in. If you're new to the show today, God bless you. This is a full diehard Bears day in the middle of June. But look, stock up, stock down. I mean, these are logical, whatever. But once the old games start flying, there, Hoge, Bears end up. Maybe we'll see if we were stock up at the end of the year. That's what ultimately matters. Another brilliant take by me.
I was gonna say to quote, was it Nico Horner who got thrown out of the game yesterday?
Yeah, and Craig Counsell.
You got to do better.
Whatever he said.
Yeah.
90.
Whoever that umpire is should never work in Major League Baseball again.
That's a little harsh.
Okay, fine. Whoever that umpire was,
He
should
had a
not
bad
work.
day though.
And he should have a 2-month suspension and go down to AAA and show me that you don't freak out when somebody says something to you for a while, and then you can come back. Can't be kicking players out of game. I
agree.
That's just sad. That's honestly
especially
sad.
when it's like two of the best teams in baseball going up against each other.
Okay, that's a little bit bold, but I
It's
get.
not bold.
How is that?
By record, I get it, but it's one of 162 in June.
Oh God!
It's not. What do you mean? Oh God! It's not like a Sunday football game where you kick out the quarterback because he said something to the ref, which I don't think that's ever happened.
That's true. That would.
Friday night's game was like playoff atmosphere type of vibes. It was a great game. They lost, but
Okay, I didn't watch it. I don't know.
yeah, you don't know.
All right.
So shut up.
I know that it's one of 162, and everybody needs to chill out if you're telling me there's
Carr,
playoff atmosphere. Yeah.
you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I do. So Aaron Rodgers is now a Pittsburgh Steeler, long rumored, and just thinking about, I was asking myself on my car ride down today because we're going to be acquiring Poppy the puppy this afternoon, so I needed to drive. Plus I had work on my Achilles today. I know everybody cares about my life, so I'm letting you know. And so, right move, I was thinking to myself, wrong move, only move for the Steelers signing Aaron. And I've gone back and forth on this, but it was like, if you're the Steelers and you've got like a very small window left with TJ Watt, with basically your entire roster as it is it worth taking a swing on Aaron to possibly hit, like, if he's got one home run left in his bank, pairing him up with Mike Tomlin, versus going the other way, which you could have drafted Shedeur Sanders 800 times. You could have taken Jackson Dart. You could have run it. You could have leaned in and run it back with Justin. I mean, Fields, I think, would have stayed in nanosecond going 4-2 versus going over to the Jets if they would have made him the starting quarterback. You could have brought Russell Wilson back, who ends up with the Giants. They had a million options here, but instead it's like let's go try to hit a home run with Aaron.
Yeah.
Which, like, if I was the Bears and I was in that position, I'd hate it. But there's something about the Steelers doing it that I sort of respect just taking the swing, period. Let's see if we can do it with them. One shot at it. This is our best chance to win the Super Bowl. It probably goes sideways, and we'll have to find our quarterback going down the way, but we're going to try to hit a home run here.
So let me give you the comp for this. I think it's very relevant. These Steelers are starting to remind me of the Patriots at the end of the Bill Belichick days, where Brady's moved on, and they don't really know what to do at quarterback, and they're trying 800 different things. And remember, they brought in Cam Newton. They drafted Mac Jones. And what was really happening was that the head coach kind of has lost his fastball a little bit. Now, I say that from a standpoint of I respect the hell out of Mike Tomlin, and I actually think that in almost every other area besides quarterback, Mike Tomlin still has his fastball. But if you've been paying attention to this since the end of the Roethlisberger days, and by the way, the last year Roethlisberger was playing, he shouldn't have been out there either. But they have not been able to figure this out. And
but they do. They're the same team every year,
and that's the thing.
So like their fastball was what, winning a Super Bowl.
Well, they beat Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl,
right?
Yeah, but they had more competitive teams. Right now, they seem like they're just hanging on by a thread to keep that record of not going under 500 going. You know what I mean? So I thought, look, the one part of this that I agree with is I think they made an organizational decision to wait till next year's draft class to really spend a lot of draft capital on a quarterback. To your point, though, Carm, I mean, the way Shedeur Sanders fell, like I think that they probably could have taken a swing there, but they had already committed themselves to Aaron Rodgers at that point. And so I don't know if there was some back channel agreement that they weren't going to draft a quarterback at all.
Why would that matter?
Well, because it might matter to Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers has somehow found a way to manipulate multiple organizations now.
Well, it might matter to him if you use one of your first or second round equity on that, but it shouldn't matter when Shedeur falls to.
Yeah, but it would matter because here's where Rodgers is smart enough to know that the second he struggles, and by the way, he's going to struggle there. He's a shell of himself. Let's just call that what it is. He's going to – so you're week 3, 4, you're 2-2. Rodgers looks like he did with the Jets last year. Everybody's going to be calling for the guy you drafted to play quarterback. And what I wonder is, if from a job security perspective for Mike Tomlin, and he still seems to have a good amount of it, but that fire was heating up last year. Aaron Rodgers, with what he did in New York last year, seems to be like the kind of guy who could come in and blow the whole thing up faster than if you had just ran it back with Justin Fields and said, hey, we're going to take the shot in the draft next year.
Which is both at the same time, it makes me scratch my head. What are you doing? And the other side of it's like, oh, well, they're trying to hit the home run. I mean, they lost to Tomlin lost to Aaron Rodgers back in 2010 in the Super Bowl after they won one 2 years prior. They also, by the way, you look at the Steelers just as a whole, and everyone always talks about how they're just this consistent team that's always in the mix, which they are, but they have not won a playoff game. You got to go all the way back to 2016. We're talking almost 10 years here,
right?
Since the Steelers
which
have
is
just won
really
a playoff
hard
game.
to do.
Yeah.
The amount of times they're over 500 and make the playoffs,
right? I mean, but they've also gotten killed in the playoffs. The Ravens,
but that's why the answer is probably they shouldn't have done this move, because when you're looking at, are you going to beat the best teams in the AFC? It's very unlikely.
Right, but let's go Theo Epstein. Every season is sacred. This season is sacred for the Steelers. Their best chance in their mind, be it 4% to have a deep playoff run, is with Aaron Rodgers. That's our best pathway. Do you respect the fact that they chose to take the risk? This is our best chance, we think. It ain't gonna. Shedeur, there's no way he's ready to do it. We're not taking him.
But see, this is why it reminds me at the end of the Patriot stuff. Because to me, what they should be doing to avoid a full rebuild, because there's still talent on this roster, is instead of going out and trading for DK and Metcalf, they should have done a 1-year reset year. Okay, we're going to go all in on the quarterback next year, but because they have that record of not ever being under 500 under Mike Tomlin, and it's the same thing under Belichick. Well, that's not what we do. We're not going to go through a rebuild. We're going to keep competing. We're going to keep competing, because that's the mindset. And what ended up happening was they couldn't figure it out. And then where are the Patriots now? They have one of the worst rosters in the league, and they're in a full rebuild.
Right.
And that might end up being 5 years from now. But that's where this thing is headed. I say it's far more likely the Steelers end up down that road than they do winning a Super Bowl anytime.
Or
in the next
they
5
should
years.
have just pushed their chips all in on Fields last year and seen where it went. Because you were 4-2, you had 10 touchdowns, and then you bring Russell Wilson in. That's going nowhere. Where you had a young quarterback, younger quarterback, right? See where it goes.
That's an interesting point, because the reporting on Fields, I think Albert Breer had this, was that the Steelers were willing to bring him back and continue to work with him, but they didn't want to make him the number one quarterback. So they could have done that last year at 4-2 versus saying, you know what, we think that our better chance to win is with Russell, which it ended up in them getting smoked in the playoffs. So they were wrong.
Right.
It wasn't better with Russell, and you could have continued to develop Justin, and maybe they'd be in a better
See
spot.
what you have.
So that plays down your side of the street, Hoge.
All right.
Not willing to take their medicine.
There was one Caleb Williams item we wanted to sneak in before we get out of here today.
He said happy birthday to Tyson Bagent on Instagram, because they're besties.
Well, if we're going to go down that weird TMZ route, I would say it's more meaningful. He was at Cole Kmet's wedding on Saturday.
That's why I'm rocking the 85 shirt here today.
And congrats to Cole Kmet, who did get married on Saturday, and the photos look beautiful, and Caleb Williams wasn't one of them.
Sources tell me that Cole Kmet is such a great groom that he hooked up his wedding people with cigars. Because
It's great info.
isn't that good info?
What is that?
Did you buy cigars for your people?
Yeah, for the golf outing.
Well, I bought them for the golf outing, and then so I ran into the dude that sold Kmet the cigars, which was sweet. And then he sold me cigars, and then I also found out that Hoge goes. Everybody apparently goes to this particular place for cigars and booze.
It's called Benny's Beverage Depot, by the way.
They should.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, I didn't want. I feel like Benny should be. Shout out to Lori. I think Benny should be on this program. I'd love to shout out everything that happened at Benny's. Apparently, Hoge likes the whiskey at Benny's.
So you got a picture.
Yes,
Hoge?
that's where I go buy my Maker's Mark, at Benny's. It's a very controversial thing that I do. Anyway, this was on Caleb Williams' Instagram. I believe it's from the camera that they hold. Some guy out there, by the way, I was talking about, was it with you the other day? Maybe it was John's.
It wasn't me.
There's a guy at practice whose job is to hold this really long pole that has a camera on it, and he stands right behind the quarterback. That's where this shot that you're seeing on the screen comes from. And it was really windy, I think on Tuesday of last week. I was just like, that guy's arm's got to be killing him.
No, that was me. That was me.
Yeah. So anyway, Caleb posted this photo, and a lot of people were talking about it because it shows a lot of different things. One, small window, accurate throw. I think that's Olamide Zaccheaus catching it. I was trying to look at my notes and try to figure out which play this was, so I apologize for not really having it. But it's a throw right up the hash with Drew Dahlman doing a good enough job, obviously, for the quarterback. He's going up against Andrew Billings, who's massive. Dahlman is not the biggest center of all time, and he's at least doing his job well enough that this becomes a completion. I think he is getting pushed back here just a little bit. But Caleb's ability to get the throw off, peek around the traffic, and complete this one is pretty good little screenshot.
Yep. I mean, was he under center? Was it shotgun? The release point where Dahlman is pushed back there. I mean, because Billings certainly is getting, some good leverage there. But Dahlman, like you said, holding his own. I do want to know who the wide receiver was, so I want that answer tomorrow.
Now, the next time a player gets mad because of a screenshot controversy when the regular season comes around, I'm just going to point out that a player posted a screenshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Caleb.
So take that.
No, it's a good screenshot.
And if Caleb wants to share more film screenshots with us, I will welcome it.
How long did you look at that screenshot over the weekend?
For a while.
Were you doing it on your new fire pit, just staring at it and thinking about how good life was?
Yep.
It's pretty good. It's a good day for you, Gregory.
This is a good day.
Yeah.
Is that how we're going to finish the show?
No, because we're going to talk about how good of a weekend it was for Mark Carman and Adam Hoge's other sports that we care about.
Okay.
Because congrats to Carman and his tennis.
Thank you.
I didn't watch any of it, but I heard it was really entertaining.
Yeah, we were at the Grace Carman celebration for making it downstate for the first time ever. Chicago Public School Lane Tech making it down there. Whoever the referee was in the semifinal game, you absolutely suck and should never ref another game. I won't say his name because I don't know his name. But like, if you can't run, then I don't think you should be a referee in a soccer match, let alone overrule an offsides call and give Naperville North a goal that shouldn't have counted, that ended up being the difference in the game. Hope you're not sleeping well. It's okay, though. It was a great celebration. But I get to this thing yesterday, and I'm like, where's the tennis? Threw the tennis on on 3 of the TVs, changed the whole party. Nobody was thinking about Grace. Everybody was watching the tennis. So my apologies to my niece. It was a great match.
Good job.
Yeah. Carlos was the man.
And real quickly before we stop the hour, make sure you become a diehard CHGO diehard. You can scan that QR code. Always great deals. 20% off all merch, all events. If you had come to our golf outing, could have had $50 off your foursome. And plus, you get all of our great diehard content behind the scenes as well. Garden Hoser says the ref was Pizzatola.
Nah, I won't do that to Pizzatola. Pizzatola wouldn't make that mistake. But he was a Pizzatola if we're making him into a adjective, verb. If it was a verb, it'd be a guy was like me 4 months ago, limping around on an Achilles. Dude, you can't ref soccer, let alone guess at things that weren't being called. That being said, they did get outplayed, so I still did think about hunting him down.
As somebody who's never yelled at a high school referee.
Yeah.
Never. Absolutely never. We have a ref shortage out there, and if anybody has time and would like to get yelled at by people like Carm, it's a tough gig. In all seriousness,
it is a tough gig.
People deal with the harassment from parents and fans and coaches all the time, and because of that, we have a legitimate ref shortage, and it leads to situations like you're painting where there are some people that probably shouldn't even be out there, but can't blame them because we need the refs or the games don't happen.
I mean, look how broken.
So you got to deal with it.
Look how broken they are at the MLB level. I mean, on Saturday, Craig Counsell's going in on the home plate umpire, and he's like, I'm not having a good day, but I'm not going to hear from you. I'm trying.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually funny.
He's like, I'm trying my best.
But that guy's at least getting paid pretty good money.
He started crying.
That's completely different. And first of all, I'm sorry, before I forget, shout out to everybody who came out to the games this weekend, including Crystal, which was amazing. Took a wrong turn, didn't get there till the second half, but still like popped up and then was like, oh, I looked over at her in the second half as Lane's down a goal and she's like more stressed, like it's a Bears game, like got all invested. Appreciated it. Kevin Cada came out. Hoge had to go home. Braggs didn't even consider coming. So
I was on the other side rooting for.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Please didn't see me.
I bet you were. Sure, you were sitting with the neighbor
like
North.
A sign like heckling Grace.
Yeah. No, that's nice. That's nice.
I thought really hard about coming.
Yeah,
and
I mean, we had 3 hours to kill. Hoge's got a life. I get it. Crystal, of course.
Well, I made a great decision because if I had gone and they had lost, then I would have been blamed.
That's what I'm saying.
So I was actually.
Crystal is
Patrick
the reason.
Schmidt came out.
Crystal's the reason you lost.
Schmidt. Patrick Norton came out. I used to work with the Patrick Schmidt.
Patrick and Crystal are the reason you lost.
Well, Patrick did come to 2 games and they were 0-2. So I mean, Norton, he scuffled this year, but I loved him nonetheless.
He could have sang the national anthem.
He should have. That was the best part of the third place game. Sorry,
the national anthem.
Well, they introduced all the players for the third place game, and they had already had the third place like 2A game before that. So the guy's like, all right, all the players have introduced. We already played the anthem for the other game, so you guys just start playing. I was like, that's right. We don't need the anthem again here. Let's go. Chop, chop. Get it going.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to Super Chats and get on out of here. Blake.
My guy.
$10. Quick super on my lunch break, but if anyone has ever has a chance to go to a CHGO event, I highly recommend golfing with Carm. Friday was great. You all missed out. It was great meeting you all. Shout out to Blake.
Blake might be on the move. They're considering a move up to Madison. Blake and I is my new buddy, best friend, let's call it. And, we could have a Packer fan up there representing Wisconsin. Like, he could be carrying the mail for us. Shout out Blake.
Wait, he's a Packer fan?
No, he's a diehard Bears fan, but he might be moving up to Madison. Just, they're kids.
Yeah, okay.
But one of the people in his group was a Packer fan.
Yes. Solo, a.k.a. Alex, is a Packer fan. Also played football at Eastern Illinois. It's a good Panther.
My group was Bears fans only. So I clearly had the best group.
Curtis is a Titans
Shout
fan.
out to Declan.
Shout out Curtis.
Gary. $20 from
Lavario.
Yesterday was my birthday. I'm wishing for a good Bears season. Notice I said good and not great. Low expectations.
Gary, on your birthday, you deserve great, buddy. G stands for great.
And good is kind of a high expectation, too.
Good might equal great in Bears land. But
I mean, they should be good, but based on historical comps.
What season are you rooting for, Greg? You also start with a G. Great, good. Ganoush.
I'm ignoring you.
Me too.
This is the part of the program where I stop listening to everybody.
Gary Lavario, another $20.
This is the part.
Became a diehard last year. Went to my first Bears game. Unfortunately, it was a loss to the Packers. On the bright side, a great tailgate, and I got to meet Braggs. Bear down.
Let's go.
Now you're listening.
I heard Braggs.
He goes, Braggs. Yeah, let's go. Garden Hoser coming in $2. So Carm was invited to Bajan's birthday party.
That's what you think, Gardenhauser.
I don't know why you keep saying that. The birthday party happened and you weren't there.
I couldn't make it that weekend. We'll see when I might be able to make it out to some other things. Damn
You
it.
weren't invited.
That's
It
what
wasn't
you
that
think.
I couldn't make it.
That's what you think.
Garden Hoser, $2. Carmando.
Sometimes I go Carmando, depending on.
Okay, that's
Better
depends on the
use
old.
better use a lot of Mando if you're going Carmando.
You're right.
Robert Lee, $5. Here's the first thank you guys in advance for sticking with us through these dog days of summer. CHGO, the best.
I would like a thank you every day until training camp.
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
No, we thank you. This is a pleasure for us. You apologize for what you just said, and we're fired up to go to OTAs tomorrow. Even though
There'll be more media there tomorrow than players, and that might actually be true.
it's for the rookies and for special teams. Austin Reed's going to have a huge day tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about how he could be a quarterback in the NFL somewhere. That's my vision for tomorrow.
Okay, we're trying to get people to tune in tomorrow's show.
Okay, Torrey Taylor will be broken down by Hoge in 17 different ways.
No, because I want people to tune in. We will talk about, hopefully, Caleb Williams throwing the ball to Roma Dunze.
You think Caleb's going to be there tomorrow? You're holding out hope?
He should be. If he's not, we'll be talking about that. How about that? Roma Dunze is going to be there.
No way Caleb's going to be there tomorrow.
Why not?
Okay, I'll just be
Why wouldn't he be there?
because this is not for veterans. And
He's not a veteran. He's a second-year player. And my understanding is his OTAs for first and second-year players.
I'll bet you he's not there. How much are we
Did
betting?
you just cluck?
Yes, I clucked at you. I clucked you. You want to bet that he's there?
Jesus.
What's wrong with the cluck?
Stop talking.
I wasn't talking. I was clucking. Nothing wrong with a midday cluck.
If this show went 20 more minutes, Carm would get fired. Chubbs 82, $5. We should have high expectations. Every year it costs enough money to go to these games. I expect greatness. I'm not letting ownership off the hook ever. I agree with you on that, Chubbs. Good for you. I feel the same way. All right. That was it?
Reminder, shout out to the store, Halstead in Chicago. Go check him out. My guy, Kevin, balcony door is open, so he might pop out any minute here if he's watching the show. But as our softball team led by the store tries to get to 4-0 tonight with Crystal leading the way. Ho, you coming 8 o'clock? First
Nope.
pitch?
No
Nope.
chance.
I'll be there.
Nope, you won't be.
Nope.
I will be watching the Stanley Cup final, Game 3. Friday night was awesome.
Hockey Hogue?
Hockey Hogue is joined every second of that I could at a packed bar in Lake Geneva where there was literally every bachelor and bachelorette party in the state of Wisconsin was there, I think. And then there was Adam and Krista Hogue trying to watch hockey.
That's amazing.
So we'll do better tonight. We'll be locked in probably on the back patio.
I forgot you mentioned this earlier, but when you walked in, was hockey on any of the TVs? Or
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Actually, I was worried about that. So shout out to the bars in Lake Geneva because the Brewers were playing, the Cubs were playing, and a lot of other things could have been on the TVs. And it was hockey.
They had some hockey on.
So that was good.
Do they have the Brewers?
Nobody was watching it, but, you know.
Were the Brewers and the Cubs on other TVs, or was it all Milwaukee?
I don't think but you know what? In all fairness, it might have been late enough. Those games might have been over.
Oh, okay.
I think it was like post 9 o'clock. So, yeah. Pizzatola says, not your best show, Carm.
Whatever, Pizzatola. You loved this show. I know you did.
All right.
Deep in your Pizzatola bones.
I'm going to go eat my lunch. All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow's show's at 4 p.m., though.
4 o'clock.
Because we do have an OTA. We'll see if Caleb's there. We will be there no matter what. We'll have a show for you at 4, recapping everything from the last OTA, and then it is officially the dead days on the NFL calendar. But we're not going anywhere. We're going to have everything covered here on CHGO Bears, as we always do. Talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.